Is Vanshivare Sanvare.
Radhe Radhe. Welcome to Sri Raseshwari Radharani Temple. I would like to introduce Sushree Diwakari Devi ji. She is a sanyasi preacher and president of JKP Radha Madhav Dham. Didi ji studied the deepest aspects of the philosophy of our Sanskrit scriptures and devotional music of India under the guidance of Shree Kripaluji Maharaj and received Vaishnav sanyas in the year 1996. Since then, she has been providing inspiring satsangs throughout the US and other countries, including New Zealand, Ireland. Didiji's charming and uplifting speeches awaken the mind and stir the soul, while her Nam Sankirtan enters deep in the hearts of listeners, inspiring them with devotional love for Radha Krishna. I request all of you to please listen attentively to her discourse. Please put your cell phones on airplane mode. As a token of our respect to Didiji, I request Nilakshi Patel to offer Didiji a garland, to offer Didiji a bouquet of flowers. Radhe Radhe.
श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की, लाडली लाल की। ध्यान मूलम गुरुर्मूर्ति पूजा मूलम गुरुर्पदम मंत्रमूलम गुरोर्वाक्यम भक्तिमूलम कृपा। हृदं भोजे कृष्णः सजल जलदश्यामलतनु सरोजाक्षः स्रग्वी मुकुटकटकाद्या भरणवान् शरद्राकानाथ प्रतिमवदनः श्रीमुरलिका वहन्ध्येयो गोपीगण परिवृतः कुङ्कुमचितः। हायदु नन्दन प्राण पीरी जियत बहुत दिन बीते तुम बिनु जियत बहुत दिन बीते यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तग्वंह देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशम् मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। Dear devotees of Sri Maharaj Ji, respected viewers, Radhe Radhe. Please join me in this chanting for a few minutes. गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय 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 गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
बोलिए वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की। Spiritually inclined souls, I'd like you to take a moment and think what you wish to gain over these few days that you're here. We have been given a very unique and precious opportunity to gain so much. I'd like to illustrate with a story. There once was a beggar who made an earnest decision to become a king through begging. So with this great aim in mind, he came to an intersection and spread his raggedy old sheet and set his begging bowl down and embarked on a begging mission, morning, noon, and night. I want to ask you now, is it even possible to become a king merely by begging? In any case, ignorant of this, the beggar continued begging for his whole life. He turned old begging. Finally, one day, death came knocking on his door, because death spares no one. And the old man passed away. After that, the townspeople, they threw his begging pot and the disintegrating, foul-smelling bedding into the river. And so the place where he sat, it became begrimed. And so they decided to dig up the ground in order to clean it. To their amazement, they found a great treasure buried right where they dug the ground. Together, they all echoed, "Only if he knew that this treasure was buried beneath him, he could have fulfilled his dream of becoming a king." In this story, the poor beggar lost the golden opportunity to fulfill his dream. The poor beggar unwittingly lost the golden opportunity to fulfill his dream of becoming a beggar. Whereas we have this precious opportunity to delve deep into the depths of our heart and find what we have eternally sought. By imbibing the grace of Sri Maharaji in the form of his divine teachings. Over the next few days, I have chosen a pad from Prem Ras Madira. It is from Danya Madhuri. It is a pad of humbleness. I will be elaborating on this pad, this divine song. It is a pad of humbleness, humility, dinata. Whomever wants to attain God must develop humility. Many of you hearing me say this probably think, oh, I already know that. What's new? Saints through the ages have spoken in one voice about the absolute indispensability of humility. The very foundation upon which the palace of our devotion can stand. The teachings of Gauranga Mahaprabhuji, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji, highlighted so elaborately by our Sri Maharaji, extol the principles of humbleness, humility. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniyah sada harihi ashtapadi. Be more humble than a blade of grass and more tolerant than a tree. Give respect to everyone without expecting any in return. Trin se adhik namra Govind Radhe Taru se adhik सहिष्णु बना दे सबको दू सम्मान गोविंद राधे आप मान चाहूं नहीं सबको बता दे. We hear these words, we understand these words, but rarely do we contemplate on them. And even more rarely do we even put them into practice. So let us find out what the saints and scriptures really mean about humility and how humble we need to become. One of the countless virtues, qualities of Sri Maharaji is the use that he used stories and analogies to teach us scriptural truths. And so I'm going to be quoting or sharing a couple of those examples in order to explain what humility in fact is. So Socrates was a great philosopher, and he had an ill-tempered wife. And shouting abuse, hurling abuse was her all-day affair. That's what she did. So Socrates knew that it was the play of the three gunas, which is why she was so troubled, which caused her to be troubled. And so anything like that or any behavior like that, he just shrugged off with laughter. And so one day, unable to incite him to anger, she poured a bucket of water over his head. And how did he respond? He turned to his friend and he said to his friend, you know, there's a shower. There's always a shower after a thunderstorm. So his friend said to him, how could you tolerate such misbehavior? If I were you, I would give her sound beating. So Socrates said to his friend, you know what? We're actually putting on a performance for you. We're not fighting. We're not fighting. We're just putting on a performance. This is something that we do. We just play around like this. So he responded. What could have been, or what was supposed to be provocation, he just took it as a joke and laughed about it. So someone with humility only will respond in this way. Usman was a Muslim saint. One day he was walking with his disciples, and someone from an upper floor window dumped ash, and it landed on him accidentally. And when he saw himself covered in ashes, he gazed upward and said, my dear Lord, it would be really appropriate if hot coals were thrown over me. Because I love the world and not you. And not you. He responded with love and humility. Instead of retaliating as we would, he responded in this way. So Sri Maharaji tells us that humility is paramount in our spiritual journey. I want to share the example or from the life of Saint Tukaram. All of these have been saints in our history who exemplified, who demonstrated the true essence of humility for us, to teach us, souls of the world. So Saint Tukaram was a great saint of Maharashtra. And he used to sing bhajans, devotional songs. And so once a few mischievous children, boys, came to him and asked him to sing a folk song, and he refused. So what they did was they grabbed him and they shaved his head. And not only that, they covered his head in whitewash, set him on a donkey backward, had him hold the donkey's tail, and put a garland of carrots and eggplant, put him around his neck, and they took him around the township, making fun and shouting and ridiculing him. So when his wife, Janbai, when she saw, she burst into tears. And how did Saint Tukaram respond? He said, but why are you crying? What wrong has been done? I did not have money to cut my hair, so the boys cut it for free. I had dandruff in my hair, and now the whitewash will cure it. And you know, when we got married, we did not have a procession, so we had one today. And the eggplant and the carrots will do us as food. This is how he responded, whereas one of us would have been gravely insulted and upset. But that is how he responded. And today, the whole of Maharashtra sing his glories. The glories of Saint Tukaram and Janbai. I would like to add one of my own experiences I witnessed many years ago. Many years ago, there was a devotee of Sri Maharaji named Bhagat Baba in Barsana, India. He did not have a room in the ashram, so he stayed inside Rangili Mahal. So Bhagat Baba, he came to me and my mother and begged us to help him meet a saint in Sri Maharaji's household. Now that saint was very busy, as it was the time when a lot of projects were underway that he was overseeing. Finally, there was a lull in the activity, and so he asked for Bhagat Baba to come see him. So when Bhagat Baba was brought to his room, he was beside himself with joy. And when the saint greeted him with folded hands and asked one of us to bring him a chair, that kindness was almost too much for him to bear. So one day when Sri Maharaj was sitting in the hall with a few devotees, Bhagat Baba approached Sri Maharaji. And he told Sri Maharaji, pointing towards the quarters of that saint, he poutingly told Sri Maharaji that, I have been begging and pleading for the past 6 months to be able to wash his feet, but to no avail. So Sri Maharaji, looking toward that saint's room, he quizzically said, "Oh, him? One over there?" So after that, Bhagat Baba told Sri Maharaji that he had high blood pressure, and the doctors have told him that if he takes medication, that he would have to take it for the rest of his life. And so he asked Sri Maharaji if he should take the medication, and Sri Maharaji said, "Of course you should take the medication." And then Sri Maharaji reached into his pocket and gave him some cash. Overcome with gratitude, Bhagat Baba said to Sri Maharaji that everyone gives to you, but I'm the only one who takes. So humility is indispensable in our journey. So this pad Vanshivare Sanvare Sunu. So the first line, Vanshivare Sanvare Sunu. I would like to delve into the deeper meaning of this first line. Vanshivare. It is described in the Gopal Tapani Upanishad. Kam paramo devaha. A question is asked. Who is a supreme Deva? Who is a supreme divine personality? Kasyan mrityur vibheti. Who is he who scares even the god of death? Kasya jnane na khilam gyatam bhavati. And who is he by knowing whom all knowledge is attained? So the answer to this paramount question is Krishno havai paramam daivatam. Shri Krishna is that supreme divine personality. And the god of death trembles before Shri Krishna. And by attaining Shri Krishna, one attains everything, every knowledge, absolutely everything. So, Supreme Divinity Shri Krishna has countless powers. And all of these powers reside within his own divine personality. Shri Krishna is that absolute divinity within whom all of these powers, they reside. And did you know that these powers have a personified form? They appear in a personified form and represent godly dignity. All of these divine powers. So when Shri Krishna represents or reveals himself in his mixed opulence, he appears as Mathuradhish, Dwarikadhish, and Bhagwan Ram. But because these forms are associated with the Almighty form, they manifest the modest form of divine love, which results in a lesser experience of the sweetness of divine love. So in Mathura, Shri Krishna was known as Mathuradhish or Vasudeva. In Dwarika, Shri Krishna was Dwarikadhish. And prior to this dissension, he appeared as Bhagwan Ram in Treta Yuga. In Treta Yuga, Shri Krishna appeared as Bhagwan Ram. And he killed demons such as Kans and so on in the battlefield, and he fought the battle of Mahabharat. And in that, he represented his almighty form. Almighty form. So the saints and scriptures, they tell us that when Shri Krishna left Braj, he left his peacock feather diadem and his flute with his mother. Because in Mathura and in Dwarika, he represented godly dignity. He was the ruler there. And although it may seem ordinary that he left his peacock feather diadem and his crown with his mother, in fact, there is a secret behind it. The peacock feather diadem and the flute are symbolic of the original Krishna. They are the recognition of Shri Krishna, of divine Vrindavan. And that is why the Rasik saints say that I love and know only that Krishna who wears a peacock feather and charms the hearts of his loving associates with his flute. Binu Murali Banamal Chandrika Nahi Pehchanat Sham. So in his original form, Shri Krishna never parts with his flute or the peacock feather, because that is when he manifests the full charm and the glory and the supremacy of divine love. But in his mixed opulence form, he does not wear the peacock feather or he does not hold the flute, because he is not revealing divine love. So the charm of divine love, it appears in Braj, and it progressively, it evolves higher and higher and higher, culminating in Vrindaban. So in all the leelas that Sri Krishna performed in Braj and in Vrindavan, Sri Krishna wore his peacock feather and held his divine flute. Sunu Vanshivare Sanvare. Sanvare is the name of Sri Krishna. We have heard Sanvarya is the name of Sri Krishna, means the one who is dark complexioned. So Sri Maharaji has described for our meditation the beauty of Sri Krishna's divine complexion. So the infinite beauty of Sri Krishna is such that even Sri Krishna cannot describe it, because when he tries to, what happens? His divine consciousness drowns in his own majestically, beautifully exquisite and infinitely divine form. So he even cannot describe, because his consciousness drowns. And who would not lose consciousness upon seeing his exquisitely supreme beauty? Who wouldn't? And that is why Naraji said, Muka swadan vat, that the subject of anything can be described in words. The experience of anything can be described. So the gopis of Braj were endowed with the Swarupa Shakti of Sri Krishna. He bestowed his Swarupa Shakti, and with that power, the gopis were able to experience the ras of Sri Krishna's divine beauty. The ras. However, everything related to Sri Krishna is simply infinite. It is unlimited. And that is why the scriptures and the saints describe that that which is unlimited cannot be described by limited words. It cannot be described. Tadapi kahe binu rahana koi. Nonetheless, saints in our history could not restrain themselves from describing Sri Krishna's exquisite beauty. So as Sri Maharaji was describing Sri Krishna's divine beauty, Sri Maharaji said that while I have a dry and unemotional heart, I am going to make a scanty, unavailing effort to describe Sri Krishna's beauty. And if any of you souls, even one soul, could derive benefit from what I am going to describe, I would consider myself extremely fortunate. Extremely fortunate. And I will tell Sri Krishna to award me, to bless me with his grace, because that one soul benefited from the effort I made in describing your beauty. So Sri Maharaji described Sri Krishna's divine complexion and told us, first of all, that no material example in this world, nothing can ever describe Sri Krishna's true divine beauty, because a material intellect cannot comprehend. It's incapable of comprehending anything that is divine. It is absolutely, virtually impossible. However, to inspire sentiments of love, to inspire sentiments of devotion within our heart, saints have described Sri Krishna's divine beauty using worldly examples. So Sri Maharaji has told us that Sri Krishna's divine beauty can be described primarily with three examples: Neelamani, sapphire, and Neelkamal, blue lotus, and Neel Jalad, a young rain-laden cloud, a bluish gray. So the sapphire, it has blue color, it has luster, and it has effulgence. The blue lotus, it has blue color, fragrance, and softness. And the young bluish gray rain-laden cloud is bluish gray, and it has a pacifying, cooling effect. So all of these, the characteristics of all of these combined and multiplied infinite times, one can try to imagine the divine complexion of Sri Krishna. Multiplied infinite times. And another example that has been given is when the first morning ray in the morning, the reddish pink rays of the sun, when they land on the bluish color of Alsi plant, then that color that is radiated through that flower can also be imagined in our material consciousness as the color of Sri Krishna's divine complexion. So in this first line, this devotee is saying, "Oh, Sri Krishna, Vanshivare, oh flute player, dark complexion Sri Krishna, please listen to me." So let's chant this. Vanshivare, Sanvare, Sunu. चलत पिराने पावरे सुनो
चलत पिराने पावरे सुनो
चलत पिराने पावरे सुनो
चलत पिराने पावरे सुनो
वंशीवारे सांवरे सुनो
वंशीवारे सांवरे सुनो
So, oh, Vanshivare Sanvare, oh, dark complexioned, divine flute player, Sri Krishna, please hear me out. Listen to me. Listen to my plea. So, this line describes that, oh, Sri Krishna, I have revolved countless times, infinite times through the cycle of life and death, reincarnating into various forms, life after life after life after life, since innumerable lifetimes. This has been going on. And as a result, my legs are tired. I am exhausted. The question is, are we exhausted? Are we really tired? If I were to ask you, I know the answer would be yes. Yes, tired. I am tired. But how can we gauge how tired we are? Because if we are really tired, we would do something, right? We would do something to change our situation. We would do something. We would try to remedy the situation. So how can we gauge how tired we are? How exhausted we are? So in answer to this question, I would like to draw your attention. Once a devotee asked Sri Maharaji, "Oh Sri Maharaji, how can one gauge, how can one assess their spiritual progress? How can one know that they are making progress on this path of devotion, bhakti?" And Sri Maharaji gave an eye-opening discourse and putting forth evaluation benchmarks. So Sri Maharaji said that for a spiritual aspirant desiring God's love, introspection is must. It is absolutely essential. And the mind, which is turbulent by nature, but which is fickle by nature, it cannot pass judgment against its own self. Because the faulty mind, which is our mind, our faulty mind will always say, if asked, I'm fine. What's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with me. I'm all good. Truly speaking, only saints and God can really know the inner quality of a soul's heart. However, scriptural writings do describe that anytime we have thoughts, critical thoughts, negative thoughts, ill thoughts coming into our mind toward anyone, then it is a sure sign of impurity of the mind. Impurity of the mind. First and foremost, the fact that we even contemplate on fault finding is proof that our own heart is sinful. Whereas our own mind, our own heart is a warehouse of countless sins committed over countless lifetimes. And yet, we dwell on other faults and others' deficiencies. The moment we contemplate, as soon as we harbor ill feelings, it only goes to show that we, in our heart, we believe that we're righteous. It is proof of righteousness. The fact is that no one is fault-free before God realization. Absolutely no one is fault-free. Then why do we think about other people's deficiencies and their weaknesses? Why? Why? Why do we entertain such thinking? And not only that, we have that kind of time and the luxury. We have that kind of convenience. We do. And as if that's not enough, we talk about each other, gossip about each other, and not only that, broadcast it too. We not only bring harm to ourselves, but also to other people whom we speak to. Sri Maharaji tells us that day and night we listen to his philosophy, to the divine teachings, and whereas we should think for ourselves about how fallen, destitute, wretched we are ourselves, but instead we become secretive around our guru. We pose, we make an outward show of being a devotee and chanting the divine name, and yet we harbor negative feelings toward other devotees, other people. This is what Sri Maharaji said. And so, if anyone says anything aside devotion, we should refuse to listen to it. We should refuse to listen to it. And Sri Maharaji says that that is not characteristic of a true sadhak, because a true sadhak, what do they desire? Devotional association, devotional atmosphere. They crave devotion. They crave to think about, to remember God and Guru and their virtues and their attributes. That's what they desire. Sri Maharaji further tells us in this speech that if anyone were to offer us anything unpleasant, such as a laddu made with cow dung, would we accept it? No. Ironically, we accept all the filth and all the negativity that's dumped on us. We willingly and gladly accept everything. So in this way, Sri Maharaji tells us that we have to evaluate. These are the benchmarks that Sri Maharaj gave us to really see ourselves and to realize and to gauge how really tired we are. Because if we really are, we would do something about it. So individually, we can look within us and use these teachings of Sri Maharaj as benchmarks to realize where we stand and how far we have come on this path. So this devotee is saying, "Oh, Shri Krishna, I am now tired. I am tired. My legs are hurting. I cannot bear this anymore, going through one life after another life, reincarnating into different forms." So I will leave you with these thoughts, and the remaining lines I will explain in my upcoming lectures. Shrimat Sadguru Sarkar ki, Ladli Lal ki, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe.